Clive Eric Cussler is an American adventure novelist and marine archaeologist. His thriller novels, many featuring the character Dirk Pitt, have reached the New York Times fiction bestseller list more than 20 times. Cussler is the founder and chairman of the real-life National Underwater and Marine Agency, which has discovered more than 60 shipwreck sites and numerous other notable sunken underwater wreckages. He is the sole author or lead author of more than 50 books. Biography: Clive Cussler was born in Aurora, Illinois, and grew up in Alhambra, California. He was awarded the rank of Eagle Scout when he was 14. He attended Pasadena City College for 2 years and then enlisted in the United States Air Force during the Korean War. During his service in the Air Force, he was promoted to sergeant and worked as an aircraft mechanic and flight engineer for the Military Air Transport Service. Clive Cussler married Barbara Knight in 1955, and they remained married for nearly 50 years until her death in 2003. Together they had 3 children: Terry, Dirk, and Dana, who have given him 4 grandchildren. After his discharge from the military, Cussler went to work in the advertising industry, first as a copywriter and later as a creative director for 2 of the nation's most successful advertising agencies. As part of his duties, Cussler produced radio and television commercials, many of which won international awards, including an award at the Cannes Lions International Advertising Festival. Following the publication in 1996 of Cussler's first non-fiction work, The Sea Hunters, he was awarded a Doctor of Letters degree in 1997 by the Board of Governors of the State University of New York Maritime College, who accepted the work in lieu of a Ph.D. thesis. This was the first time in the college's 123-year history that such a degree had been awarded. In 2002, Cussler was awarded the Naval Heritage Award from the U.S. Navy Memorial Foundation for his efforts in the area of marine exploration. Cussler is a Fellow of the Explorers Club of New York, the Royal Geographic Society in London, and the American Society of Oceanographers. Literary career: Clive Cussler began writing in 1965 when his wife took a job working nights for the local police department where they lived in California. After making dinner for the kids and putting them to bed, he had no one to talk to and nothing to do, so he decided to start writing. His most famous creation is marine engineer, government agent and adventurer Dirk Pitt. The Dirk Pitt novels frequently take on an alternative history perspective, such as, What If Atlantis Were Real? Or, What If Abraham Lincoln Wasn't Assassinated, but Was Kidnapped? The first 2 Pitt novels, The Mediterranean Caper and Iceberg, were relatively conventional maritime thrillers. The third, Raise the Titanic, made Cussler's reputation and established the pattern that subsequent Pitt novels would follow, a blend of high adventure and high technology, generally involving megalomaniacal villains, lost ships, beautiful women, and sunken treasure. Cussler's novels, like those of Michael Crichton, are examples of techno-thrillers that do not use military plots and settings. Where Crichton strove for scrupulous realism, however, Cussler prefers fantastic spectacles and outlandish plot devices. The Pitt novels, in particular, have the anything-goes quality of the James Bond or Indiana Jones movies, while also sometimes borrowing from Alistair MacLean's novels. Pitt himself is a larger-than-life hero reminiscent of Doc Savage and other characters from pulp magazines. Clive Cussler has had more than 17 consecutive titles reach the New York Times fiction bestseller list. Art Imitating Life, NUMA. As an underwater explorer, Cussler has discovered more than 60 shipwreck sites and has written non-fiction books about his findings. He is also the founder of the National Underwater and Marine Agency, a non-profit organization with the same name as the fictional government agency that employs Dirk Pitt. Cussler owns a large collection of classic cars, several of which appear in his novels. Important finds by Cussler's NUMA include, the Carpathia, the ship famed for being the first to come to the aid of Titanic survivors; the Mary Celeste, the famed ghost ship that was found abandoned with cargo intact; the Manassas, the first ironclad of the Civil War, formerly the icebreaker Enoch train; A visual and interactive depiction of Dr. Cussler's NUMA Foundation expeditions has been made available as an extension of NUMA's original website. It is an informative and educational overview from a global perspective of Dr. Cussler's expeditions and discoveries. Appearances as characters. In what started as a joke in the novel Dragon that Cussler expected his editor to remove, he now often writes himself into his books. At first as simple cameos, but later as something of a deus ex machina, providing the novel's protagonists with an essential bit of assistance or information. Often, the character is given an alias and not revealed as Cussler until his exit, with the characters remarking on how odd the name is. The cameos are usually restricted to the Pitt adventures, although the Fargo Files books Lost Empire, Spartan Gold, Kingdom, and The Tombs had Cussler making an appearance. The Tombs also includes his wife, Janet. A regular name in Cussler novels was Lee Hunt. 17 books have had a character named Hunt appear in the opening prologues, usually dying. Notable exception is the first Dirk Pitt's adventure, Pacific Vortex, in which Admiral Lee Hunt is a major character, commander of the 101st Recovery Fleet in Hawaii. In the introduction to Arctic Drift, Cussler says there was a real Lee Hunt who died in 2007 and the novel is dedicated to him. Another surreptitious and joke is that significant events in several novels occur on July 15. Cinematization. The first film of a Clive Cussler novel was Raise the Titanic. Starring Richard Jordan as Dirk Pitt, Jason Robards as Admiral James Sandker, David Selby as Dr. Gene Seagram, Anne Archer as Dana Seagram. It grossed $13.8 million on a budget of $36 million. Paramount Pictures released Sahara on April 8, 2005, starring Matthew McConaughey as Dirk Pitt, Steve Zahn as Al Giordano, William H. Macy as Admiral Sandker, and Penna Copyright Lope Cruz as Eva Rojas. It grossed $122 million with $241 million in production and distribution expenses. Bibliography. Upcoming books. Dirk Pitt Adventures, 1, although published in 1983, Pacific Vortex. Was written and takes place before the Mediterranean Caper 2, also published as Mayday. 3, novels featuring Dirk Pitt, and his children, Dirk Pitt Jr. and Summer Pitt. 4, novels co-authored with Clive Cussler's son, Dirk. The NUMA Files. This series of books focuses on Kurt Austin, team leader of NUMA's Special Assignments Division, and his adventures. Some characters from the Pitt novels appear, such as Sandker, Rudy Gune, Hiram Yeager and St. Julian Perlmutter. Pitt makes brief appearances in the books Serpent, White Death, Polar Shift, Devil's Gate, The Storm, and 0 Hour. The Oregon Files. The Oregon Files features a ship named the Oregon which Cussler introduced in the Dirk Pitt adventure Flood Tide. While appearing to be a decrepit freighter, it's actually a high-tech advanced ship used by an unnamed and mysterious corporation under the leadership of Juan Cabrillo. The ship is run like a business, with its crew being shareholders, taking jobs for the CIA and other agencies to help stop crime and terrorism. The crew is adept at disguises, combat, computer hacking, and more, to aid their missions. Kurt Austin, Joe Zivler, and Dirk Pitt all make cameo appearances in the 4th volume, Skeleton Coast. Isaac Bell Adventures. These books are set mostly in the U.S. in the early part of the 20th century. They center around Isaac Bell, a brilliant investigator for the Van Dorn Detective Agency, which appears to be modeled after the real-life Pinkerton Agency. Like Pitt, Bell has an affinity for automobiles and is a crackshot. The first book reveals that Bell survives into 1950 with a wife and grown children. Though the setting is a century ago, the books still qualify as techno-thrillers, since they feature the advanced technology of that time, such as private express trains, telegraphs, telephones, dreadnought battleships and early airplanes. Fargo Adventures. The series focuses on Sam and Remy Fargo, a couple who are professional treasure hunters. Non-fiction. Children's books, indicates books co-authored with Paul Kemprikos, a Euro indicates books co-authored with Graham Brown, a Euro indicates books co-authored with Craig Durgo. A section indicates books co-authored with Jack Dubrul. A euro indicates books co-authored with Justin Scott. Indicates books co-authored with Grant Blackwood. Ash indicates books co-authored with Thomas Perry. A indicates books co-authored with Russell Blake. Recurring characters, NUMA, friends, etc. The Corporation, Van Dorn Detective Agency, Joseph Van Dorn, Isaac Bell, Glenn Irvine, Arthur Curtis, Horace Bronson, Harry Warren, Larry Saunders, Nicholas Alexander, Mac Fulton, Wally Casley, Eddie Edwards, Texas Walt Hatfield, Archibald Angel Archie Abbott IV, John Scully, James Dashwood, Pauline Granze, Asa Summers, Friends, Marion Morgan, co-authors. Cussler has co-authored books with other writers, such as Russell Blake. References. External links, official website, audio interview with Clive Cussler talking about the chase, Clive Cussler fans website, the Cussler Museum, clivecussler.com.au, Cussler Down Under newsletter.